As we look for all kinds of information on what's coming up, sometimes, not always, but sometimes you get faster information through social media about a disaster such as this. We want to bring in Jim Anderson. He's the Social Flow CEO. He's a real expert when it comes to social media. The social media world has been lit up right now in Dubai and elsewhere, trending and hashtags about what's going on with that fire right there. Jim, what are you seeing on social media right now about this?
Yeah, Liz, I'm seeing a lot of information just flowing in real time. I was literally just looking at the Twitter feed, and every few seconds a new tweet is popping up. There's a lot of concern about, obviously the number of victims and their status, and a lot of conflicting information, which of course is what you see in a situation like this. There's also a lot of debate about the wisdom of going on with the fireworks show. On the one hand, it being insensitive given the fact that there's a significant fire going on. On the other hand, the thought that, wow, do you really want to leave a couple of tons of fireworks strapped to a building when there's a fire going on? So it's just very chaotic right now, but there's a lot of information, a lot of pictures, and a lot of video.
I think you just made an excellent point. I don't know why people put these huge fireworks displays on tall skyscrapers. If one thing goes wrong, we see barges blow up when they have them out on the rivers and things like that. I used to cover them in Boston. I covered them in Cleveland and the Cuyahoga County River. This can be a very dangerous thing, can it not? So as you look at what's going on in social media, are you seeing things like terrorism trending? Because that seems to be the initial knee-jerk thought. Oh, look how nervous we are. Sure enough, this is what happens.
Interestingly, that was not the predominant theme of the tweets. There certainly were a few mentions of it, but if you were to just read 100 tweets, which I did and scanned through, there was not a lot of thought or talk of terrorism in those tweets. It was much more in the moment, urgent, prayers and thoughts for the victims. Here's what's happening. I happen to be in the city and I'm safe and I'm on the other side of the city to my friends and family was one tweet I saw. Those types of things. I suspect the speculation about the cause of this and whether terrorism was or was not involved will come later, but in the moment right now it seems to be much more focused on on what's happening.
I think that's a great point. That's how people get to let their family and loved ones know that they are okay. We saw that in play on Facebook, certainly during Paris. Gearing up in 8 minutes, Moscow is next. Moscow's fireworks are going to be going off at the top of the hour. We're going to have cameras there. Oh, it's going to go off in 3 minutes. I'm being told at 55 minutes after the hour, so we're 52:21. So in less than 3 minutes, we're going to be seeing that at the moment. So we'll have our cameras there too. We can only hope, and we'll make sure to let you know what goes on there. No credible threats in Moscow, at least of what we've heard lately. But Jim, social media has been certainly a hot and cold area for the stock market. I can't let you go without, getting your last thought on this. Twitter was a big stock disappointment, certainly, but what happens in 2016?
Yeah, I think, well, everybody is chasing Facebook right now. That's clearly the dominant player in terms of social media, and their biggest play right now is into video, right? So Facebook in many ways is starting to look like YouTube. Twitter, I know, has disappointed analysts, but is still a major factor and a major force, especially in things like breaking news, like we were just talking about with the hotel fire, and certainly in the political campaigns as well. So I think it's a little too early to say that Twitter is not going to be able to continue to be relevant, but everybody, including Twitter right now, is chasing Facebook.
Well, everybody thought Donald Trump was going to be the star of social media for this year, but it turns out it was two other groups, wasn't it? It was the Kardashians and the Dugars.
Yes, we analyzed quite a number of tweets and Facebook posts, etc., and saw that the Trump was certainly in that category, but to fall behind the Kardashians and the Dugars, I know he's accustomed to being number one, so at least in this case he was number 3 behind those two groups. Yeah,
well, Instagram, Finstagram, there's all of these other developments. Is there a new one emerging in this next year that trumps things like Instagram and who knows what else? Twitter seemed to be the ownership there, but not perhaps in 2016.
Yeah, the two that come up the most often are Pinterest, which of course is very popular in its own right, and Snapchat, which is very popular among younger millennials as well. So those are the two I think you'll end up hearing the most news about in terms of up-and-coming emerging social networks in 2016.
Will Pinterest go public?
That's a great question. I think, Pinterest is, most of these social networks really focus first and foremost on their user growth and all the metrics around there. The theory being that if you can get a passionate group of users who come back and use your product every day, then you're going to position yourself very well for something like a public offering.
Well, people are actually making entire careers out of Instagram. The fat Jewish, he's unbelievable, that guy. He's got a book deal, probably a movie deal. Katie Couric's interviewing him. He's been here. I got to meet him. I got all geeked up. My kids think he's hilarious. But there are ways to actually make an entire career out of using somebody else's social network, which to me is absolutely fascinating. And that's where the Kardashians are geniuses. Glue Mobile. Kim Kardashian did that game on Glue Mobile, and it was unbelievably popular, and she actually could monetize it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, you go where the people are. If you're trying to do something commercially, if you're trying to sell something or be a commercial success, the first and simplest rule is just to go where the people are. And guess what? The people are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, and increasingly on their mobile devices. That's the other big trend for 2016 I would keep an eye on, is already we're all glued to our mobile devices. You just need to walk down the street and you'll see that. And that trend is going to continue in 2016.
It's great to see you, Jim. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on. Jim Anderson.